do you guys feel like, not slap me or anything, but how do you guys feel like nice guys? I feel like there's like this kind of like perception like, nice guys are not it. Like if he's too nice, like I don't even want him. Like he's too romantic, he's too girly, too feminine. Like how do you like what are your thoughts on that?
Very like nice guys are like guys who I don't want to say like seem softer, but like I will run over you if you let me. And like a little like, all right, that's enough. Like that's
If you let me tell you everything about what you should be doing, like if I say no, don't go to your parents' house. I want you to come to my house. And you'd be like, okay, that's too nice.
Oh, okay.
You'd be like, no, I'm going to my mama's house. What are you talking about?
us. But like if we're in a situation where like another guy is like saying something or like whatever, like I need to know that you can situation.
Like fight? I'm so weak.
So it's like be nice but have a back.
Okay, all right, ladies, welcome back to part 2 of Ladies Night for New Wave. So we're gonna get right into it, okay? So we're gonna just get right into gender roles, okay? So I know earlier I mentioned that something I love to do is actually cooking and cleaning, but it's something I really love to do. But what if a guy like feels like you have to do that in a relationship? Like you're gonna be the one cooking, you're gonna be the one cleaning, you're gonna be the one washing the clothes. Like how do you guys feel about gender roles, or you think it's just like an old school thing and just very traditional?
It's gonna be a no for me.
Yeah.
I only say if you feel that I have to do those things. Okay. Because like it's an expectation that like I have to be the only one to cook, clean, all these things. Because like I do enjoy it, but it's like when when you were ready to clean your room as a child and your mom's like, make sure you clean your room. And you're like,
I'm not
I don't
doing
even
this
want to do
anymore.
it no more. Like. So it's like for one I want to be appreciated for, and also like this is a partnership where like if I had a long week, like I would love for you to cook and do the dishes and like wash laundry one day. Like I don't have to do anything, but like we're a partnership and like we're gonna split these responsibilities and like care and be willing to do what each other needs.
I agree with you, Caitlin, because no, I definitely agree because like I can cook. I don't like to do it. That's a lot of time. My legs hurt. It's just a lot of work. I just don't like to. I can do it very well, honestly, but I'll never tell you that when we first meet. But like I just think it's a lot of work, and like you should. I don't think it's like she said, it's a partnership. So if you see like we both come back from work or whatever, and like you're sitting down there and you're like, where is dinner? I'm gonna ask you the same thing. Or because I'm not I'm not getting up to be like, oh, let me go. No, because like we're both tired. So like it's either somebody just goes and does it or we're ordering takeout. Like I'm not dealing with like you have to cook and you have to clean. I can do those things. I just don't enjoy it. So if you're expecting that of me, like you're like, my wife, you must do this, you're not the one for me because it's just not going to work.
But do you find sometimes in relationships, like sometimes you have to do the things you don't want to do?
I get that, but then it's like we're both able, 2 hands, 2 legs, we can, so if you're hungry, get in the kitchen, help yourself. Like you don't have to wait for me to do it. It's quite simple. That's just how I feel.
I personally don't want to be in a relationship where there's gender roles because I feel like if we're a team, there's going to be some days I can't cook. And you should know how to cook and be able to step up. Like, we're doing things as a whole to kind of, like, make sure everything's running smooth. Like, what if I'm really tired and I just can't, or what if I get sick, God forbid, and I can't cook? Then what? Like, you need to be able to take in my place and actually do it. So I don't mind, like, cooking or cleaning, but I still want my husband able to do something. Or my boyfriend, fiance, whatever.
Not cooking for
Yeah, I just feel like everyone as
That is a good question. I had a question too.
I feel like everyone though should like be able to do those things. Like you should be able to cook, you should be able to like do your laundry, all those things you should be able to do. It's not like on the woman, like it's not her responsibility to just take up this role because you don't want to or you feel like only women should do it. But I enjoy doing those things for my fiance. I like cooking for him. I like, doing the other little things. I don't think he necessarily expects it. He's not like, oh, like you're supposed to do these things. If he did that, I'd be like, no, because I don't have to do this. But he does show like a lot of appreciation and like yeah, thank you for doing this. Like, I appreciate this. Like, it means a lot.
You know, this tastes that.
Yeah. And I can bounce off that too, because I do cook, I do the cooking, and I enjoy doing that. But I'm so grateful that Anthony does cook. Granted, there's not a lot of men, I guess, that I've seen that actually will take time to cook. But I am grateful that he does do that, because it's just like, I appreciate you doing it for all that time. But hey, I'm gonna step in and do it this day to show appreciation to you too. So I think that's very important when it comes to that relationship, to have that balance of like, not really gender roles, but I'm better at this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take charge of this. But then also, if you're better at this, like, I don't, like, first of all, I don't want to touch garbage. Like, I really don't. But so that's kind of something set up, like, okay, you take out garbage, and then I'll do most of this. So I think it's just having that balance of what each person does, So
I like that.
So I have a question for the room. Gender roles being men usually typically pay all the bills. So what if he's like not into gender roles and he says like, we're married, but like you make more money, so you should pay the bills?
Isn't it our money?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say
definitely.
too.
What you mean,
It's
my
definitely
money paying
our
the bills?
money. Like, we should have an account where our bills can come out of.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to put money in, but you should also want to put money in. I'm
Yeah.
not saying like, oh, you make 40,000, I make 100,000. Bet you pay all the bills from your end.
Right.
No, like, we're in this together. Like, as long as the bills get paid, it don't even matter where it came from, honestly.
Yeah.
Do y'all think? What about having like one account versus multiple accounts versus also having like money that your significant other doesn't know about, like having your own account? Because I know that's like controversial. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Personally, I think for me, when I get married, okay. I think when you go into marriage, you should have an account that you had before marriage and don't do anything to it, right? And that should be separate from your marriage. And I don't think, because it's like you're coming in, you also had like, for example, like stuff from your parents, like your own stuff. Like if you want to share, that's fine, but still like, I feel like that should be separated from what you make during the marriage. So it's like if I create an account during the marriage and I don't tell him, then that's a problem. But if I come in with
Your own stuff.
my own stuff and they don't tell you, like I don't think that's a problem.
So would you still put money in the account that you have?
No. I wouldn't put anything
That's
during
just
my marriage
personal.
because that I feel like that's silly. Does that make sense?
So I guess for me, like when I think of coming together with someone, like as a marriage, you're coming together as one. So I'm a strong believer that you should have one account. And the reason I say that is because it builds that trust. You can see what that person's doing. He can see what I'm doing. Like there's no secrets here. Now, do I have an account on the side? Yes, from like, before, being together, but I don't use that account. Like my main account is, we have a joint account. I think that's very important in a relationship because you're not, like again, you're not keeping secrets or anything.
Exactly.
But I mean, to each their own, So like even someone may make more money than you, and you may not make the same. But when you come, I believe when you come together as one, that's like your money. Like that's both of your money. But I could be wrong.
Like even what you come in with.
Mhm.
Okay.
I strongly believe that.
Listen, I ain't coming in with a lot now. But yeah, I do. I agree with that. I like the idea of just like, being on the same page financially, like being on one accord, and just like having that joint account where you're both like being held accountable by each other. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's still like, I don't know, I would also want to have like my own account, kind of like what Passy said. It's not a secret, like you're going to know that it exists, but I may not necessarily touch it, but it will exist. I don't know, maybe I am someone who always likes to have a backup plan, and maybe that's just my problem, because like I think like I think it's great, love and everything. I think that's so beautiful, but
That started.
no, but it's like sometimes things happen. They really do. I pray that it never happens, but sometimes things happen, and I would preferably like to have a plan B so I'm not stuck. That's just me. But like, it sounds really bad because it's like, oh, why are you thinking about the end for the beginning? But it's like, it's not the end, it's just a plan B. Just
Yeah, it's like
just in
because
case.
you have a plan, you have to use it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I would agree that I would want my own account.
No joint account?
We would have a joint account.
Oh, okay.
We would definitely have a joint account, but I feel like that would be specifically for the things that we do joint together. Bills, car payments, things that we want to pay together, but not like, if I want to go shopping at Target and I want to spend $100, I can use my side money that I don't take out of our joint account. I don't see that as like a betrayal or like distrust thing.
Yeah.
So I guess I see how it could be, but I don't really view it as like a thing like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's weird. Maybe that's weird.
I think it's just like, because I've had this conversation with friends before, and like, of like having a backup plan, and like, because also I know people who have like separate money that their husband like doesn't know about. And like, I really don't like that idea.
Yeah.
Like, I really like the like joint account where like you can see what I'm doing, I can see what you're doing. Like, not that I would ever like check up on what you're doing because I like trust you, but it's just the fact that like, if I need for some reason to get into like your account or whatever, like if I need for some reason to like look through and like for budgeting purposes, because even with the like my like if I want to go on a shopping spree or whatever, like I still like we've budgeted and like we each have like extra like spending money that we have. If I want to spend more than that, like, hey, what we thinking? Like, can I just spend, you know, just like having like a solid foundation where like we are like one, like Kiara said, like one financially, spiritually, physically, all like.
Yeah.
So I actually had a conversation with someone about this, and at first I was so set on like we would have joint accounts, I would have my account, he would have his account, and we do everything out of that joint account. And I was talking to this lady about it, and she said that yeah, it's fine for y'all to have a joint account, but your separate account should be like, what if one thing bad happens one day where y'all have no more money? Your husband's freaking out. He's like, we have no more money.
Plan B.
You can easily come to your and be like, hey, I put this amount of money for us on the side. It's been in this account for a long time. I'm not hiding it from you, but I just want us to have an extra safety blanket. And ever since then, that's the only reason why I would want another account. You know, like my own account.
Yeah.
But not even just like, oh, I'm trying to hide it from him. It's just that I want us to be safe. I want us to have something like to fall back on.
I definitely think it depends on the obviously like the person that you're with, like what works for you. Because what you have to realize is that each relationship is different, you know. So you have to figure out what definitely works for you guys. So I'm gonna throw a word around because we hear this word a lot. Okay. So submissive. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on being a submissive girlfriend, wife, fiance to your significant other? Because I know for women that's just like, yeah, you need to be submissive to your man. What are your thoughts? Yeah, what are your thoughts, Ryan? What have you heard?
Okay, I feel like for me, submissive comes naturally if I can trust you to lead me. It's like if you tell me, oh, like, let me be your leader. I'm like, who do you think you are? Like, you, like, exactly. So I feel like if you have, like, the way you act, like, if naturally I can see that you can actually lead my family, then, like, I feel like me submitting to you can come naturally. It's not something that I have to think about.
Yeah, I feel like the whole submission, because like this is something that I've like really grown in the past like few years, because like I'm a very independent woman, and like I'm not gonna just like, I don't like being told what to do, and dang, hold on, I really lost what I was saying. That's very unfortunate.
It's alright.
Oh no, it's how men. Sorry, I brought it back. It's how men like think of submission. Like I think a lot of men are like, you should submit to me, or like you basically they think of it in the terms of like, I could tell you what you're. I could tell you no. I can tell you not to wear XYZ. I can tell you to do these things. But like I don't think that's what like real submission looks like.
Yeah.
And like, or they think it's like I have final say so. All
Yeah.
the time, any situation. And like, I also don't think that's what it looks like. I think it looks like you are, you know, God has entrusted you to be the man of our house, like to be the head and like to receive the vision. And like, I'm submitting to you because you're submitted to God. And like, therefore we're both submitted to like him and like everything we're doing right. Like you're a great leader. So like it comes naturally. Like I'm not having to make myself like do something. But when you come and you're like, I'm the leader. I'm the alpha male.
Yeah. I would agree that it's the way they think about it and what they think that looks like, and then that's why there's so much conflict around it. I think like when I fall under submission, I'm thinking like, I don't know what to do, bae. You got an idea? yeah, I guess we should just go with what I'm thinking. And then we go with your decision making because I didn't have nothing to go against you. And like, you're better with knowledge and you're more knowledgeable about whatever the decision needs to be making. So you're going to make that decision for us as a team because I didn't have an opinion. But say I do have an opinion and I had an issue and I had a view and then you don't, and you think the exact opposite. It's not like I have final say so. I'm the dominant person in this relationship. You need to submit to me. And I think that's what men think that's what that is. And like, that's not what that looks like. Again, I would naturally fall under you because you're a natural leader for me. You're a natural, like, safe place for me. So I trust that you will make a safe decision for both of us.
Yes, yes.
And that's what that looks like for me.
Yeah. But thankfully, I'm not with someone who will pull that, oh, I'm the leader, like, situation. Because I feel like I would hate that. Like, I would hate for someone to be like, I'm the leader, or you have to do what I tell you to do, like this is my decision, I'm the dominant, you know, like she was saying, I'm the dominant one in the relationship. But yeah, I'm comfortable, like, submitting in our situation, our relationship, because I trust you, and you also respect me enough to listen to me and like value my opinion, and like, you know, I don't feel like someone who's on the back burner or someone who's just like a second to you, you know, in that way, yeah.
I think I'm also like, for me, like, when it came to my relationship, like, I'm just like, okay, look, you're the man of the house, so you lead and I follow. But, you know, it does kind of like, there are some things that, you know, you make a decision on, but for the most part, like, even the way, like, I grew up, like, the man was just kind of like, you know, like, he was the one that was in charge kind of thing, but not saying like, okay, like, I'm the leader. Like, kind of going back to what all you guys said, like, okay, you got my name tag, it says leader, like, I'm the leader, you know, so I think that's just that's very important. You know, obviously it comes down to the person you're with, because I think, you know, everyone's going to have someone different, but I think that's something very important to bring up, because I think it also is very, I guess you could say, I don't want to say traditional, but that is something that a lot of, I think, our parents may have talked about, or like, they just threw it out in church, like, yep, submissive, and that's just, you know, that's it. So that is very important. So do you guys believe that you should settle?
No.
Do you believe in settling?
That's not a word in my dictionary. I'm sorry.
I feel like settling, like, because, look, going back to Kevin Samuels, I like, no, okay, no, but I will say, like, I think I've learned, like, oh my God, I really don't want to on camera, but like, I've learned, like, some valuable stuff, a little bit. But it's, you have to get past how he says it all, because he says it in a very disrespectful way, and he says it very bluntly and honestly, but there is, like, value to what he's saying. And this idea of, like, what settling means, because then it's like, if you say you're settling, like, how does that make the man feel, or like men who are like that feel, like men who are like your, like, brothers, or like whatever, who don't have these, like, qualities that you're looking for, then you're settling for those types, when it's like, that's not really true. Like, maybe it's just like prioritizing, like, what are you really prioritizing? Because if you say, like, you're settling for somebody who, like, doesn't have the body that you want, but like, how does that make them feel for, like, not just being built like that naturally? Like, that's like, that hurts, right? Like, I'm settling you short. Like, that hurts. When, like, what are you prioritizing in a relationship? Like, I'm prioritizing your character over, like, what you physically look like. And which is why, like, I have to, like, I don't like the term, like, settling, because it's not fair to, like, the people who are just like that.
But
That's
you're
not.
just gonna come out and be like, I'm settling.
But if you think that in your head, is that also, like, wrong?
No.
But you, in your mind, you know you could be with someone better.
Exactly.
So you're.
But I feel like that's gonna come off though in some way. Like, you're gonna treat them low key like you settled.
Well, that's also something dealing with yourself. That's your character, though. That's something that you need to fix within yourself.
Wait, what do you mean live with, like, you're gonna show the person that you're with that you're settling?
Like, in your
even if
actions.
you don't,
You're
in
gonna
your
have
actions.
that attitude in the back.
But
Yeah.
but then why would you settle if you know that that's gonna be a problem for you?
That's the point. That's what she's saying.
I'm just really confused. Like,
But you think you're gonna find somebody with, like, all of the, like, the things that you've set as, like, being all of whatever? Like, is that realistic?
like all like my check
Whatever your
marks.
check marks
If
are.
they're realistic things, yeah.
If-
you're
yeah.
out here like, he need to be 8, 9.
Okay.
Skinny as a pole.
Okay, come on. Also,
I-
to be unrealistic.
Okay, here's the
I'm
thing.
just saying, that's what it is.
Like, average, let's talk about the height situation. Most men a majority of men are not 6
I don't
feet,
believe
so
that. I've seen them. They exist.
they're not the majority.
That's okay. I will settle for the minority that are 6 feet.
Ooh.
They exist. They exist. But I don't know the settling. I don't know. Like you said something about the
I don't
your
like the
list.
term. It just sounds sad.
I get it sounds sad, but that's life. Like it's just what it like.
So would you rather settle or be alone?
That's a good question.
No, okay. Okay, this is how I see it's like if I have a list of like 10 things, right? And these are very important things that like I prioritize. You don't need to have all 10. I would like him to hopefully have 6, maybe 7, right? But then like she said, if I don't think like my things, like I don't think my list is like ridiculous, you know what I mean? So it's like if you don't meet those 10 like necessities, I can't be with you. I'm not going to settle. Like I said, just because like, oh, you're a man and like you're just available, that's like, no. So I just see that as like settling.
What if he's a great guy?
That's really great, but like the love fades away. So it's like, cause I know the kind of person, it does, it changes.
What if it's love, like you like him, like it's like
As a
you
person,
like
his
him as a
character.
person,
No,
you
I-
enjoy his company, he gives you everything you need, he just
That's
not.
nice. No, that's really nice. Like I just know myself. Like I think after a while, I'm gonna be like,
So you say like you like above 6 feet, right?
no, 6 foot. That's like
6 foot.
that's
But,
it.
okay, what if they're just like taller than you, but they're not 6?
No,
Because you're not 6, you're 5'6".
I'm 5, but I'm tall. I'm 5'6"
You are
and
5'6".
So
three
what if you
quarters.
never? So you would rather be alone than with a man who is 5'11"?
Exactly.
That you would have to be like a godsend, but that's the lowest I'm gonna go. That's you like.
How you gonna shop for this man?
Pardon?
Where you gonna shop for him at?
Oh, I've seen them. They exist. They're 100.
Get him at? But where they good?
Where
You-
they at?
You can
Where
travel.
they good men though?
You can travel around
Yeah,
the
that's a good
world.
question.
Oh,
Because
because that's when you
If there was a good man, we
prioritize
would
the
be
good
able to
man over your height.
Okay, so let's see. So let's say you're not like I was gonna kind of shift it a little bit. Let's say you're not originally attracted to this person, right? Do you believe that you can grow to be attracted to this person?
I don't think that works. I don't think that works like that.
Okay, wait, one at a time. Okay, so what you're saying?
I said I
No?
don't think that works like that. I feel like you can grow to love a man's tendencies and like habits and likes and dislikes, but not attraction. Simply because you're gonna get bored and you're gonna get tired, and then you can't. It's not interesting enough for you anymore. But I feel like there's a lot of things that a woman can grow to love about a man, but not his appearance. Like you have to have attraction.
Like if he's,
True.
I hate to say this, scrawny, you don't like scrawny dudes, and then he gets buff, you're gonna.
But that's
You're
different.
not gonna like him because he was scrawny.
But your face is your face. You can't change that. No, it is. Your face is your face. You really can't change. So if I don't find you attractive, if you do surgery, but if I don't find you attractive, like first glance, I'm like that. I can't grow to like that because the day I'm
Yeah,
upset
I
with
agree.
you, I'm gonna remember that you're not attractive, and then it's
That's why you ugly.
How did we get here?
exactly.
But there is something like okay, so I think you hear the saying like men they really go for looks, right? Like that's the first thing. Like okay, maybe boobs, butt, face. Like what does that look like? But for women, like sometimes we usually go for personality first, but then looks can come second. Now, do you this is something that's something that's kind of true for women. We just kind of look at the heart. That's what we like. Yes, you have to be attractive, but if you're not all the way to 10, it's okay. Like at least your personality's.
Right, you can be a 6 with a 10 personality.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you can.
No,
Like, maybe it's person by
can get
person.
I feel like if you're
Sort of attractive, okay. But if I just like off bat, like I just think you're ugly, it's a no.
Ugly
I
is
feel like you can,
ugly
you
is
can
strong.
medium 5. So like if you're at a medium, if you're at a 5, like I can grow to think you're an 8.
I think that's.
I go from a 5 to 8.
I think that's
I think that's prioritizing his character over his looks. 'Cause at the end of the day, when we 80,
But are you
So what
attracted
if
to
his
his
character
looks
changed?
at a medium 5? Are you attracted?
at a 5, I mean, I don't think he's ugly.
So she's
And so
she's
I'm
prioritizing.
prioritizing his character and his heart and how he's gonna treat me.
All right, ladies. So sex. All right. Sex, S-E-X. All right. So let's start with what. So for me, so I grew up in church, right? You know, but I wasn't really paying attention growing up. But I grew up in church for the most part, right? as most of us probably had, you know, parents make us go to church. But a topic that I feel like that was not discussed a lot was the topic of sex. Yes, we learned about it in the health class, you know, 2 pages, you know, make sure you wear condoms, whatever, flip the page, right? Or just don't do it at all from a church standpoint, just wait till marriage. But what did the church teach you guys about sex?
Yep, same thing.
Yeah.
So you get pregnant immediately.
The moment you see it, you're pregnant. You're going to hell if you have sex.
Yeah. It was, there was a lot of like shame attached to it. And then like, I just like in my experience, like just going to like obviously growing up in church and then going to Christian and like Catholic schools. Like I remember like my all girls like high school, my teacher made us like watch a movie about like childbirth and how disgusting it was until we swore we would not have sex. And I was like, this is a lot happening. So I was just kind of like, okay, I just don't want to do this because these women look like they're in pain. So I just don't want to have to deal with childbirth. And that was just it for me. I was just like, this is just a lot of pain. But like there was no actual information. Like you said, it was just, we didn't even talk about condoms because Catholics, they don't do that. So it's just like, just don't do it. You're gonna get pregnant. That's it.
So what do you guys wish they did teach you in church?
I feel like if the church would have told me that, what it felt like to give it to someone that didn't deserve it, then I would have said like, okay, I'm not gonna do it, like, because that's the feelings I've had, like having sex with certain people afterwards, like not even like right after, but like a couple days later, I was like, dang, I wish I would have waited. You know, I'm not a virgin, so I wish I would have waited. You know, to be able to be with someone who also not even if he wasn't a virgin, but he just wanted to wait until like, you know, he found the right person and then we can do it together. You know, I wish I would have been taught that.
Yeah.
I feel like part of that too, because like I for the longest like didn't really care about waiting. Like I was like, I'll probably like do it when I'm like 16, 18, whatever. Until my youth pastor actually had a conversation with us in church one day where she was telling us like how special it is and how like God created and how incredible it is like meant in like the context of marriage and how like it is something you like want to only share with one person and like how like it brings you together and how like she just emphasized like how amazing it is and like it like she never lied and said it wasn't going to be like incredible. She just said like it's something that's so special and connects you and like it makes you as one, like, and that's something you like only want to give to one person. And then I was like, wow, like it is so special. And like I did choose to like want to wait. I didn't make it, but you know, nevertheless, then like when they teach you what it really means and when they teach you like that it is special, like, and they give you like your own like self-efficacy and like power behind like it's gonna be incredible, save it, like save it for somebody who's equally as special. You know,
I definitely agree. Like I wish the church like definitely just made more emphasis on like this thing that it's like they described it as like it was this demonic thing, and like it wasn't until like honestly like freshman year of college, like I was watching I think it was a Mike Todd video, and like he was saying how it's actually something that's beautiful that's meant to happen between people who are like, you know, in love with each other. And it's like, because I think just the way the church like described it, I was like, there's just like so much shame attached to it. It was like, if you did this thing, you were tainted forever. And I was like, that's not true. Like now at 22 I know this, but like at 16 I was just like, oh no, I don't even want to touch boys, like, you know, I don't want to go to hell. Like that was it for me, you know. So like I would just wish like they just, like you said, just talked about like I guess the special part of it is like you can decide for yourself, and just honestly less shame. I just they would stop shaming the women more, because I don't like they don't really, it's like they don't shame the men at all.
Men are glorified for how many bodies you have versus women.
So I just wish like there was just not all that.
I feel like the first time like I really heard like a pastor talk about sex or just relationships in general was like Pastor Andy and First, like, and when they actually like, you know, like they're actually like they have these conferences, they sit you know people down, like there's like so this is how marriage works, this is how relationships work. Like I think that was the first time I ever heard about it, and that was after college, you know, or moving here like when I was 22 or whatever, 23. So it was just like, wow, like yes, these are the conversations that we need to have because they're so important, because that's how we all got here. We got here because of sex, you know? So it's just like, why is it not talked about anymore? So like, do you guys believe in like soul ties, but having experienced sex already? Like, what do you believe that soul ties are real?
the term soul ties like sounds really churchy and sounds really traditional, and like I think the same can be conveyed when you just say like you get extremely attached to a person and like you look past so many other like red flags and you like just become like so much more connected to this relationship and making it work and everything else, when like if you weren't having sex, like it would have ended a lot sooner. Probably it would have ended with a lot less pain and hurt and things like that. Like you just become so much more attached and like blinded because of like the extra like sexual component that's been added to the relationship.
I also feel like that term soul ties is kind of another way to like shame people. And if you kind of go deeper, like how Kayla was saying, like how she even described it, like if you have that conversation with me, like I'm more likely to understand what you're saying and like get a better understanding of how sex works and the connection that you have when you have sex with someone.
I personally don't believe in soul ties. I believe in like picking up characteristics from people. Like, so if I hang around y'all every single day, I'm gonna start to laugh like y'all, act like y'all, whatever. Like, you know, like say little things like y'all because I'm hanging around y'all so much. If I'm continuously having sex with this person, I'm gonna start picking up the things that they do. You know, the way they act, the way they talk. I wouldn't consider it a soul tie. It's just that I'm hanging around this person so much that they're starting to rub off on me. If I have a one night stand, I'm not gonna have a soul tie with that dude. I'm probably not gonna get his name. Like, you know, like it's not that. So I can't get any soul tie with the person. It's just their character is rubbing off on my character.
Yeah. So let's say a guy came to you and he's like, yeah, so I'm abstinent. Like what is your perception of that? Like, would you be like, okay, like let's do this? Or what are your thoughts on that if a guy came to you like that? Or even like, what are your thoughts on it if you are abstinent?
I think that depends on like where you're at in your relationship. Like, I don't think there should be any like a shame attached to it. That's a personal choice. If you know that sex is important to you while you're dating, then probably don't date someone who's trying to be abstinent, because that's gonna be very tricky for both of you. You know, to try to like maneuver that relationship. But I don't think there should be. I don't think it's that deep. Like, it's either do you want to do it or you don't. Like, it's either or. But yeah.
You're like, finally, thank you, Lord. Like,
But you're in a place.
You're in a place where you want to do that.
Abstinent, right?
Yeah.
right.
And I think it is important for like when you get into a relationship, like how Tonto was saying, like you both are on the same page. Like if he's abstinent, like you can't really, and you're not, it's gonna be harder for you to navigate that relationship because you both weren't on the same page, like in terms of sex prior to getting into a relationship.
I think that comes with also like how much you like that person. Because if you really like that person and you're not, and they are, you're gonna be like, all right, bet, let's do it. Like, if I really, really like this person.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
I mean, I think you can say that. I think you'd be like, yeah, babe, of course.
Yeah.
But you're
And
gonna
then
put
in the
work
moment, you're gonna be like,
But-
sure, that's how you really feel. You don't wanna just.
Like,
But you
shouldn't.
But you shouldn't be wanting to talk him out of it either. If you really like that person, you should be
Right,
willing
but
to put the work in.
I'm
for it.
thinking from like a male's perspective of like, no, of course, like when they're in their fully right mind, they're like, no, I'm not trying to talk you into it. And then like when in a different right mind, like it's.
But not just the guys though. I feel like even like the women, like, because it's easy to say, like you said, oh, like let's be abstinent together. That's very lovely to say, but putting that into practice, like, because like, you know, things happen. You can be hanging out one night and it's like you may not have planned to spend the night, but you spend the night, and hey, you're human beings, so things happen. So, you know, like I don't think it's like you're not. It's like I get it, you know, putting in the work and everything, but that's someone you're attracted to, like. You know, hormones, it's like, yeah, you know, you're listening to Jesus, you want to follow Jesus, but hormones are not trying to follow Jesus. They do what they want to do. So in that moment, like, what happens, you know? So I just think honestly, it really depends. I think that's just tricky, honestly.
I think it's just a lot difficult. It's more difficult than just saying it. Like, it's nice to say it, but putting it in action is really difficult.
For sure.
And maybe that just also depends on, like, individuals, like, sex drives and things like that, too. Like, it just depends, like, on the people and the situations.
For sure.
Do y'all think sex is foundational in a relationship?
No.
Like, explain it.
No, I feel like it's the icing on the top. It shouldn't be the foundation of the relationship, because I feel like it's something that changes over time, and if you don't have the right foundation, then your relationship's really not going anywhere. So like, I feel like for me, like personally, I feel like the foundation for your relationship should be God, because He's unchanging. So it's like sex can, you know, I mean, it has to be great, but it's like, but it's still like not going to be like the foundation of my relationship.
I mean, I know for me, like, my biggest thing was that I wanted to wait until I found my husband before I had sex. So that was just really important for me. I just remember, like, I remember reading the book The Wait by Devon Franklin and Megan Good when I was in college. And when I read that book, I was just like, yeah, like, I'm waiting. And if this guy, whoever this guy is, if he's not waiting, if he's not about it, then I mean, we're not going to do this, because that was very important to me. I mean, actually, that was something on my list too. Like, this guy had to wait for me. He had to be patient with, like, what I believe, and that, you know, I want to wait till marriage, because that's just so important. I feel like that's just like, I want to get to know you first before I give you all of me. Like, once you give all yourself to someone, I feel like it's just like they can just run and leave with it at that point, you know? So, I mean, that's just me, but I know everyone's different when it comes to that, but that was very important to me, you know? But, you know, something that goes around is, like, for women, we will be with a guy even if he cheats with us, right? Or he cheats on us. Do you guys believe that you should stay with this guy? Like, what is that? Because, you know, there's a thing, like, women will stay with men who cheat on them, but if a man, you know, cheats on, like, it's just vice versa. Like, what do you guys believe in that?
Those guys are going to get packed so quick.
Yeah. If we're just boyfriend and girlfriend, I'm gonna have to leave. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Do you think cheating is a deal breaker in marriage?
that if we don't,
I know a lot of
kids,
married women who don't believe that cheating is a deal breaker in marriage. In dating, sure, but in marriage, when you're already so many years in, they don't feel like it's a deal breaker anymore.
I think for me it is, because then I think it's, for me, I just see it as it says something about me and like what I'm going to like tolerate, because it's like, if you do it, like, okay, you can do it one time, I might forgive you. You do it a second time, now you're just taking the piss entirely. So now, like, you take me for a fool, apparently. So, like, that's for me, it's like, I can't, like, I just don't want to have to do that multiple times. If we don't have kids, I think it'll be easier to leave. If we have kids, I might try for the kids, but if I find myself, like, I'm losing myself, and I'm just, like, I'm not someone who's, like, gonna be checking your phone or like waiting up saying, oh, he finishes at 5 o'clock, why is he not home, it's 5:45. If I find myself like losing myself and doing those things, I'm gonna have to leave, because that's just a strain on my mental health at that point, you know?
I think the biggest thing, like, that you were saying is, like, trust. Like, if you cheat on me, I don't trust you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it's so hard for me to be in a relationship with someone that I don't trust, because trust is very, like, foundational for me. It's foundational for a relationship for me. So, like, if you break that trust, it's gonna be so hard.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so hard.
That's real.
Like, I don't want to have to check your phone. I don't want to have to be like, where you at, like, what you doing, who you with all the time.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I was actually just gonna say that, but I also feel like you married me. You should know who I am and how much you value me. You should also value our kids if we have them. You know, you should feel like I don't want to lose my kids or my wife or what we have. Especially if we're in a happy place. Like, what made you want to do that? You know. So I feel like the moment you cheat on me is the moment you lost me.
Yeah.
And cool, you can see your kids whenever you can see your kids, or if they want to live with you, I will see them when I can see them. But it's a no for me. It's a no. I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't.
That's real. So I want to end with this question. We've been talking about relationships, sex, whatever, about men, like, you know, like, but overall, like, what is something that you wish your mother or your grandmother taught you about relationships that they didn't?
I'll start. So my mom, very independent woman. My dad was around a lot, and they were married for a certain period of time. They got divorced when I was probably like right before middle school. But and he was still around having my life. But my mom's a very independent woman. I would almost say borderline controlling. She likes to have it her way. She likes to have things done her way. She feels like if it's not done by her, it's not going to get done right, type of thing. So what I wish she would have taught me is that when you're in a relationship, it's important for you to find someone who knows who you are and accepts you for all you are and doesn't try to alter you. She tried to alter my father. She tried to change who he was, and so that's why I feel like she never taught me that. But she tried to change who he just was as a person. Like, my dad's not. My dad's one of those people who's like, you catch him. Like,
if you can count on him half the time, maybe on a good day. He's very like spontaneous, and he's not very like, this is what I want to do, this is how it's gonna get done, blah, 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 blah. He's not that person. My mom is. So their relationship was like her trying to be this person for him to be better. But she couldn't change who he was. Like, that's who he was when he was born. And so I wish she would have taught me that, because that's what I took from her. Like, if you're this type of independent woman, you should be able to fix that man or change that man or be this person for him. And so I kind of took that on as a trait, like, of just being somebody who's always going to be there to make it better for you. But, like, you got to have a person that matches you in a relationship. You have a person that accepts who you are regardless of, you know, and accepts who they are as their person. Like, you guys are two different individuals who want to be together in love, and that doesn't mean that you have to change who they are and they have to be like you. Like, he just has to be a person that you love and accepts you, and he has to do the same for you. So I think that's something I wish I would have learned going into relationships.
I don't have nothing. I'm really close to my mom, my grandma, and all of my aunts. So I've seen like a lot of different relationships, and honestly, they were all built the same way. Their foundation was God, love. We can have fun. We can joke with each other. We can joke around. Like, they're all pretty much built the same. So, and like, of course, they had different, you know, scenarios, like different problems. But I witnessed them all, and I seen how they're all handled. So I kind of learned a lot. It just was until now, like, I'm older, like, I'm like 20, but now, like, I've seen, like, how it should be done as a relationship. It's whatever you take from it, you know? It's not like, oh, you need to do this as a wife, this, you know? Like, so I really have nothing that I wish they would have taught me, because they taught me so much.
Yeah, I think like something I agree. Like, my mom and I are extremely close, and my mom also had me when she was really young, and so like we have like an interesting relationship that's kind of like older sisters. And she like has taught me a lot, but I also think like one of the most valuable things she said was like, you have all of your life to be like a wife and a mom and like all of that. Like, you have all of your life, but like you have very short time to be just you and to just prioritize yourself and to just like learn who you are as a person, so you can bring your like full self to a relationship. And so like, don't rush. Like setting an incredible foundation is like key, and like spending more time as friends like can only benefit the relationship. Like, what is the point of rushing? Like, because when you rush is when you make mistakes and when you get sloppy and when you like don't do things correctly. And so yeah, it's just like take your time and like be sure, so that you don't have to like learn a lot of things like later on down the line. And like also in that patience and like in that waiting, like valuing just talking and not like adding a sexual component that like blinds you of like who that person may really be. And like, it forces you to like see them for who they really are, and it forces you to do something else at night, and it forces you to like actually talk when you're upset and not have like angry sex and makeup sex and all this other stuff, you know?
Yeah. I'm kind of like Zig and Caitlin. Well, like, I'm very close to my mom as well, and like, you know, she honestly taught me a lot. But something that I'm just learning on my own is that no relationship is perfect, and like I'm talking about that more with her, because I think like obviously growing up and seeing like my parents, like their relationship, something I admired so much that I would always say like I want a marriage like my parents, but I'm now realizing at 22 that that's not realistic. Like, no relationship is perfect. Like, I'm sure like my parents have their own like issues or whatever, but just me learning that people are not perfect and I need to be very patient with people is something I'm taking the time to learn on my own, and also just learning to like get to know myself and who Nonso is more. That's like, yeah, that's something I'm currently learning. Yeah.
That's good. I think I can go off like all of you guys. Like, you know, I'm really close to my mom too, and you know, I looked, you know, growing up, I looked at my parents like, oh my gosh, like this, like I love my parents, like they look good, but then, you know, the older you get, you realize like actually like no, like, you know, my parents have been married for 25 years and I love them, but their relationship, sometimes it wasn't healthy all the time, you know? But I think one thing I really noticed, and that's something that you kind of passed on to me, is that their communication was not the best. Yeah. And when I realized in my relationship, you know, I was just like, you know, we'll like bump heads every now and then. It's just like, dang, it's just because like, I wasn't communicating like how I felt, and I was just like, I felt like, you know, something's wrong, like I'll just close the door, like you just move on. But that's not the way that it goes. But the reason I thought that way is because of my parents.
Yeah.
So that is something, you know, you think of the things that, you know, your parents didn't teach you, but also things that you may have not even noticed that have just been passed down because you're just so used to it. And what, you know, which is not healthy. So I think that's the biggest thing I took away, is that communication is key to any relationship, because that's just how you do. I mean, that's just how it functions. That's how it works. But love my parents still, but but that's just something you gotta think about. What are some traits that were not healthy from your parents that you may have took on? But I thank you guys. Thank you, ladies, for this wonderful conversation. Thank you for being honest, open, and transparent. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you all for tuning in with us. This was great. Make sure you check out our Bros Night and our Family Night. We have more that you guys can catch up on. Bye.
Bye.
All right.